I want to talk about this comment right here because I get this comment all the time on my videos. I see it all the time in other women's videos, especially when they're talking about things that their partners do or that they hope that they change. And for me in particular, it's typically around the mental load and navigating a home together. And I share little stories about how we have shifted the dynamics in our relationships to be more equitable and fair. And I always find this comment so funny because I said that my husband used to use me like a personal reminders list. Like he would ask me to remind him of things all the time. And this person's like, why did you even marry him? Well, the obvious answer to why I married him was because he was a kind, thoughtful person who I loved spending time with and still do, right? That's why I married him. And maybe I should have had a conversation with him in our 20s about not using me like a personal reminders app. But here's the thing. We all come to relationships and marriage with different upbringings and understandings of what it looks like to be a person and a parent and a partner. And we have all had different things modeled for us along the way. And unfortunately, especially here in the US, but in many different places, men were not raised to carry the mental load or to show up in relationships in the same way that women were. They just simply were not. And I have a partner who is able and willing to adjust and change. When I come to him and say, hey, this is frustrating, he changes. And that's why I married him. I married him because he's a kind, thoughtful person who wants to have a relationship that is thriving. He doesn't come to me and say, absolutely not, I'll never do that, never, no way. He says, oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was adding to your mental load by asking you to remind me. I will just use the reminders app going forward. Look at that. That's why I married him, because he's a kind, thoughtful person, and it's not that hard to have these conversations. And in so many different relationships, I have found myself throughout my life in friendships and with my own family saying, hey, can we adjust the way we're doing this? Like, it's not working for me, and I don't think it's working for you either. Can we adjust it? And guess what? We do. I think that's the part about being a person that people don't get. Like, you can evolve, you can change, you can be better. And if you just write people off constantly, like, we get nowhere, right? Like, we're screaming from the rooftops about a male loneliness epidemic and how boys are struggling and men are struggling. And then people will be like, well, just leave him behind. Just leave him behind. And like, I get the urge. Believe me, I get the urge to just leave them behind. But I'm raising a son, and I hope that one day if somebody's dating him and he's doing something they don't love, that they can come to him and he's going to listen to them and absorb that and take that in and maybe adapt and maybe change and maybe show up differently next time. I hope for all of us that we can look at each other as people and not just a checklist. Because unfortunately, no matter what in a relationship, even if you think on paper you have the best person in the whole world as your partner, I guarantee you along the way you're going to say, hey, I don't love the way you're doing this, or I don't love how we communicated that. Like, can we change? And I wish for all of us that we can have the capacity for that, to have these conversations, to have compassion for one another, and to grow together.